good life here and a good life in the next world also. Okay. On that note, so tonight's daf is pretty geschmack. I mean, some of it at least, and then tomorrow night's also better than Hashem. But it's not long. It's short. It's actually pretty short. Yeah. So just to chazer over what we were doing yesterday. So again, we're on Zayin Amud Aleph. We're going to start on the top line, the end of the top line.
Seems like the whole Masech is short.
It's not. It's short. Most of them are short dafim because the Ran is so long. Right? But it's also great because you have the Rush and Tosfos and the Ran and Rashi on the page. I don't know why we don't have it by more Masech. I guess the Rush is shorter. This is the Pirush Rush. This is not the Rush. The Rush and the Psak. Either way, so we're talking about Yodas. Yodas again means handles. Handles means that you're not using the exact terminology that you're supposed to use for whatever it is that you're doing, but you're using some alternative, or you used the way the Gemara seems to be saying now. The Yodas is like we said yesterday. Can somebody do Yodas by Kedushin? Meaning he goes over to a lady and says Harayat Mikudeshes Li, which is the proper terminology. And then he turns to the lady next to him and says, next to her, and says, "V'chein." What was it? Was it v'chein? V'at. Yeah, it says v'at, and he didn't say nami. Had he said nami, that was for sure. That wouldn't be a yad. But he says v'at, right? So we said that's a yad. So but the Gemara didn't give an answer of whether that would be a kedushin or not. And then the Gemara said the same thing by peya, same shaila by peya. If a guy says this part of the field would be peya, and what was his lashon there? V'hadin, right? But he didn't say hadin nami, right? So now we continue with this. Yesh yad l'tzedaka and yad l'tzedaka. Top line. Yeah. So is there yad for tzedaka or not? Meaning, can you do this? And it's going to be the exact same shaila we had yesterday. Hechidami, what's the case? Hadin. If he says hadin zuzah tzedakah, this money is for tzedakah, vadin nami, and this also, right? So that's hahu tzedakah. That can't possibly be the case of a yad. Hahu tzedakah atzmi. That's mamish tzedakah, right? You have two piles. You have two $20 bills sitting on your table. You say this one's for tzedakah, and then you point to them and say that one also. So it's pasha. It's for tzedakah. That's not a yad.
Doesn't machshava alone do that for tzedakah?
Oh, very good. We're gonna get to that. Very good. Very good.
So tweet.
Yes, I didn't send out the text. I tweeted. I tweeted. I forgot to send out. Yeah, I've been meaning to send it out on the halacha text, but I haven't sent out the text one. Depends how you get it. Some of it went out, some didn't. Yeah, that's what it was based on.
Status, I can look it up.
Yes. It's a good kasha. Rabbi Akiva Eiger asked the kasha. Others asked this kasha. Rabbi Akiva Eiger has one form of asking this kasha. Either way, but we'll get to it in a minute. So Gemara says, "Hahu tzedakah atzmi." That's tzedakah. Elo, if you're going to Amar Hadin, he said this v'loy Amar Nami. He didn't use the word Nami. So my Hadin Nami tzedakah kamar is the word Hadin also tzedakah. Idilma my v'Hadin. What does it mean v'Hadin? Lenafkusa ba'alma kamar. All he's saying is that he says and this one is going to be whatever for nafkusa, for yitzias, for spending. But he just didn't finish his sentence. He didn't finish his sentence, right? Meaning he was saying like this: this $20 is for tzedakah, and this $20 and this $20, and then he stopped talking, right? So what he meant with that is, well, we don't know what he meant. Did he mean and this $20 is for tzedakah? He didn't finish a sentence, or is this $20 for my own personal expenses? Right? Yeah. So that's the shaila. So the question that Gershon was asking is that the din is, at least the Ramah brings it in Shulchan Aruch, that by tzedakah there's a unique din where even if you have it in your head that you're donating money to tzedakah, you have to give it anyways, right? So what the kasha is if you have it in your head that it's giving it to tzedakah, So kol shekain, right? Kol shekain, that if he's just showing it, then a yad for tzedakah should be a yad, right? So one of the tirutzim that they give is that when it's in your head, that's when it's tzedakah, because that's the way you planned on how do you say it? Not donating it, pledging it. The way you planned on pledging it was in your head. Okay, so if that's the case, then that's a pledge. But if you planned on saying it out with your mouth and you didn't, so even if it was in your head, but you didn't yet properly pledge it, so mamela you're allowed to back. Meaning again, if you're in your head was to pledge it, right, and that's the only way you're going to do it, you weren't going to verbalize it. Okay, so then it's going to be tzedakah. Once you decide in your head that you're giving the tzedakah, then that's it. You have to give it. But if you plan on verbalizing it, so then you don't have to. Then what's in your mind is not going to make you give tzedakah. Now, what's the most practical of this? You see a schnorrer coming around chazar sashatz, right? You see a guy collecting tzedakah chazar sashatz, and you decide in your head that you're going to take this dollar and you're going to give it to him. So you feel into your pocket, you take out the dollar. I'm saying it happens to everybody. And then the guy makes a left turn instead of a right turn and leaves the besmerish, and now you're stuck with this dollar that you planned on giving to this fellow. All right. So now what? Now what do you do with this dollar? All right. So if you go that you verbalize, and if even in your head is tzedakah, so now you're mechuyev to give that tzedakah, that guy the tzedakah. So what do you do? Run after him, and let's say he disappears. So now what? What do you do with that dollar? It was earmarked for him. Yeah. So what the poskim say to do is have in your head that anytime you plan on doing this type of tzedakah thing, you don't. You have in your head that it's beli neder until you actually hand the money over, so you don't have this issue. All right. Now there's a different.
You bought the winning Powerball ticket with that dollar, and then what do you do?
What about an appeal where you change your mind 3 times in the middle of the appeal?
No, that's because you didn't decide. You didn't decide it in your head, right? It's once you.
Well,
it's
I
not
think
like,
I think I decided, and the guy kept on speaking, and I changed it. You know,
well,
it's like you think you had an amount going in, and then the guy spoke and changed it, and then it was a really good speech, so you changed it again.
What's that? Changing it up is not a problem. It's only changing it back. It's if the speech got too long and you say, okay, I'm subtracting.
Well, by the end of the speech, you forgot the whole thing and you decided not to give anything. So
okay, it could be. That's the risk a guy takes in speaking too long, right? No, so to go up is not a problem. It's only to go down. So the Chazon Ish, amongst others, says that even though you pledge that dollar to a specific collector, but in your head you mechuyev to give that dollar, but you don't have to give it to that specific guy. He says because that much in your head we don't say. To say that you're giving that dollar to tzedakah, fine. Meaning it seems like according to this Chazon Ish, I didn't look it up. I saw it in a sefer today quoting it. That according to this Chazon Ish, sounds like if you decide during the appeal that you're giving your money, and then the guy ticks you off and say, you know what, I'm going to still give my money, but I'm going to give it to his competitor. Right? That would be okay. You can't, you meaning in your mind, you're mechuyev to give that tzedakah. You're not mechuyev to necessarily give it to the one that you said you're giving it to. When you, when you said in your mind, right? But if you specifically wrote it or said it out, the ferish that you're giving to a specific person, then you're mechuyev to give it to.
You said too much money. Now you can't afford it.
Yeah, if you said too much, so pashtas you have to be neder. If you said you're giving tzedakah and you don't end up giving it, then you have to be l'chari. You have to be neder. You got to go get rabbis and be neder. Gabi tzedakah last week asked me that he had money and he went to a guy to collect some money for a specific thing for somebody, and then in the interim, when he was waiting for the money, a different need arose, and he felt that was more important than the original thing that he asked the guy for. So can he give it to the new tzedaka, even though the person that he solicited, he told him, let's say the one he solicited, I don't remember what it was. One was for tefillin for somebody, and then was a hot water heater. So I don't know which one he decided was more important, but he decided to change it on the fly. But he's the gabbai tzedaka, so I think the gabbai tzedaka is allowed to change it up. But it would have to depend on, you have to go to the guy he solicited to and say, well, did he ask specifically to pay for the tefillin? If he says he's paying for tefillin, you can't go use tefillin for a hot water heater, right? And vice versa. Okay, whatever. So that's the practical that comes out. But the main thing is, the main lesson to be learned from this whole sugya is that and we'll see more tomorrow, that for mitzvahs, it's a neder. Even if you don't say any lashon of neder, for mitzvahs it becomes a neder. So you have a problem. So you gotta, anytime you have in your mind with tzedakah, just always say beli neder. Now beli neder, by the way, there's a different story which we'll have to get to at some point. This beli neder is overrated. Meaning people think they could lie. I say beli neder and I could lie. I say, it's gonna snow tomorrow, beli neder. No, that doesn't. You can't do that, right? Beli neder, you have to keep your word. You just don't have to be mater neder if for whatever reason something happens that you don't keep your word. Right? You can't just say beli neder and not keep your word. That's not right. Okay. So anyway, so continuing in the shaila. So the Gemara's so what's the tzadim in the shaila? Again, we want to know whether a guy says and he doesn't say the word nami, he says v'hadein. Does that mean that he's also giving that other money to tzedakah or not? So me and Akiva the iskish with karbanos, since we say we may make a hefker to karbanos tichsiv beficha, right? So the pasuk on the right, I don't know if you have the psukim. It says ma'asus vasecha tishma v'siza kasher nodarta laHashem elekecha nedav asher dibrata beficha. Right. So since it says beficha, so therefore zu tzedaka, that's talking about tzedaka. Ma karbonas yeshel and yad. So karbonas we know has a yad that we saw yesterday's daf, right? You don't have to say the exact terminology. Af tzedaka yeshel yad. So since we're comparing tzedaka to karbonas, and karbonas has yad, so tzedaka also has yad. Iduma lebal ta'acher hu deiskish. That's you compare karbonas to tzedaka only for bal ta'acher, that you can't push it off. So meaning, and if you only compare it to Baal Ta'acher, so then there would be no yadus. And for tzedakah, you'd have to say the exact same thing. So again, that brings us to the second practical halacha from the daf, is that there, according to both sides of the question, there is Baal Ta'acher on tzedakah. Meaning, if you promise to give tzedakah, you have to give the tzedakah. You can't sit on it. You can't. The shaila is what's Baal Ta'acher. So Baal Ta'acher for karbanos is 3 yomim tovim, 5 yomim tovim, whatever it is. You have a cycle of the year to bring your karbanos. But tzedakah, what's Baal Ta'acher? So if you promise to give money to aniyim, the Baal Ta'acher is pretty quick because there's aniyim all over the place. Meaning, if you say you're going to give money to something and that opportunity doesn't present itself, okay, so then that's not you're not going to be on Baal Ta'acher. But
So
if the opportunity, you didn't donate it to anything specific.
There's no Baal Ta'acher?
What?
There's no Baal Ta'acher?
It's not Baal Ta'acher because you just said you're giving tzedakah.
There's
So you're not about
there's no
Ta'acher.
timeline.
Right.
Even though you give it to the same place every year?
Yeah, it could be. So I don't know. It could be. It could be. Whatever it is, it's not to sit on it. To sit on tzedakah, not give it, is not good. It's a problem. Fine. Okay, so then that's the next side. That was the second. What we said. What do you say? Kedushin we had. Peya we had. Now we had tzedakah. Now we're on to the next. Yesh yad lehefker. If somebody wants to make something hefker, so does that have any chashivas to it or not? So what it says, hainu tzedakah. The hefker is tzedakah, which is quite interesting, right? Tosis here says, well, what does that mean? Hefker is tzedakah. So Tosis is understanding Gemara that why would anybody make anything hefker? You make something hefker because you want somebody else to take it.
He makes it hefker so he could drink his wine on Shabbos that he didn't take truma off of. We had that.
Well,
we had all these cases where the guy those baloney mices to make things hefker. No,
Right.
Didn't we say COVID to make something hefker? It's tefillah.
What do you say?
Yeah, the whole thing with making something hefker because it's tefillah, I think, during COVID.
Well, during COVID, right? We made the items hefker. You're right. You're right. Those are scenarios where you really don't want them to take it, right? But if you're making it legitimately hefker, in the regular standard case of hefker, you're making it hefker in order that somebody who needs it, right? If somebody needs it, should take it, right? You don't need it anymore, so you right, all these clothing giveaways and all these type of things. Right? So what are you doing? You're making it hefker. Somebody else should be neder from it, right? So that's what the Gemara is asking. Hefker is the same thing as tzedaka. So what answers imtim tzalaimer kamer. It's an imtim tzalaimer. Imtim tzalaimer yesh yad tzedaka. If you say that there is a yad for tzedaka, meaning that you don't have to say the exact terminology, there ain't hekesh lemechza, because we don't make a hekesh halfway, and we have a full comparison between hektish and carbon, and they're not just for Baal Ta'achal, like we just said, and therefore there is a yad for tzedakah. So hefker miyam ninan hainu tzedakah. Do we say hefker is tzedakah? Tzedakah is for poor people. Al hefker, but hefker, and this is I think Rabban is what you're referring to, is bein lani and bein lashirin. Hefker can sometimes, at least it's a form of what you're referring to. Hefker can be for poor people and for rich people, right? Meaning, lamaisa, a rich guy can come along and take like what is it? One man's trash is another one's treasure, right? So a gvir could come by and take would take something. So therefore, it's not mamish. Even though most people, when they make something hefker, they would want aniyim to use it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be aniyim. Yeah, fine. Okay, so that's that question. Next, Boi Ravina, yesh yad lebeis hakisei eloi. Is there a yad to a beis hakisei or not? Now, what does that mean? Because we know that you're not allowed to learn or daven in a bathroom, right? But what happens if it's not a bathroom? You have a house under construction, and it's meant to be a bathroom, but nobody ever used it as a bathroom yet. Meaning you're going through it with the architect, and you're standing in a room, and you say, okay, so this is going to be the bathroom, right? Then the architect says mazel tov and takes out a candy and gives it to you to make a bracha on it, or a schnapps. Can you make a bracha right there where you're standing? Or does it have a din of a bathroom because you just said that this is going to be a bathroom? Once it has a din of a bathroom, you can't make a bracha on it, right? So the din is really let's see how it goes.
Use it to make.
Well, that's going to be part of the issue. But if you say that I don't know, is dedicating it the right word? If you're miyachid, if you're saying that this is what it's going to be, then that's it's going to be. So okay, so hey, what's the case? If you say this house, this room should be a beis hakisei, and this one too. So again, he used the lashon of nami. So beis hakisei nami hava. So then that second room is for sure going to be a beis hakisei. So that can't be. He said, and this one, nami, but he didn't use the word nami. Again, the same shayla.
He's saying that if you go ahead and say that this is going to become a beis hakisei, it's a beis hakisei right now.
Correct. If you legitimately mean it, you can't just walk into your house and say, okay, I decided that the couch is going to be a bathroom, so that now you
if
can't.
If you legitimately want to do construction, say, we're going to put a bathroom here. You can't make a bracha in that corner anymore. Even though put a bathroom.
Just hold on. Let's wait 2 more lines, and we'll see. Yeah. So Ella could go in Damar Vadin Veloy Amar Nami. So my hadin. What is hadin to Amar? Vadin Nami beis hakisei. Did he mean and this room is also a bathroom? I do my vadin l'tashmisha ba'almakama. He stopped short from saying out the full sentence, meaning he said this room is going to be a bathroom, and this room, and then he got a phone call or a text, right? And he didn't finish, so we don't know. Did he mean and this room is going to be a bathroom, or did he mean that this room is going to be a powder room? Powder room? Mm-hmm. Not a bathroom. Yeah, powder room is a bathroom. It's also a bathroom. Okay.
No, powder room is the room before the bathroom.
Powder room is the outer room.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a different shayla. Put a mezuzah, no mezuzah, do you? Right? Machlokes in yeshivas, right? Machlokes yeshiva against sheyosh on the outer room.
The father said not to. They put one.
I don't know. Whatever. We're not going down that road. Either way. So that's the shayla by beis hakisei. Mechlal, the pshita leila ravina, the yesh ziman lebeisa kisei. Like Naftali is asking, it seems based on the Gemara's question, it must be pasha to ravina that if a guy said something is a bathroom, then it automatically has the status of a bathroom, even though nobody ever used it as a bathroom. Right? That's clear that that's the Gemara's assumption. But that was a question according to
The opposite way, Reb Yaakov, if you make something a shul, can you eat there? You didn't daven there.
Very
All
good.
the
Yes.
shuls that they're building.
Right. So can you right. So that's with any shul. Can you what do you mean? You're talking about even if they never daven there?
If they didn't daven there yet. They said it's going to be a shul. They're building a shul.
You buy a
They didn't
house.
daven there.
Stand
Can
with
the
your house.
can the
What?
can
They're
the
not
workmen
gonna
eat
go in
lunch
there.
there? Can the workmen eat lunch there?
Well, they right. So they right. So you're talking about if they didn't make it tonight.
Someone made
Right.
a shul without the
What-
time.
what-
We won't make the tonight. We won't make
So they
the
didn't
tonight.
make
So
it
the
tonight. So
practical.
they didn't
They didn't
make
make
it
the
tonight.
tonight. If they
It's
didn't
the
make the
Rebbe.
tonight,
It's the
Yaakov, is that-
Rebbe's private shul. All the Rebbes have a private. It'll be the Rebbe's private shul, and he has
Did you say it was a shul that
Puerto
said
Ricans
not to
working in
tonight?
there now. Can they eat
Right.
lunch there?
right? I think it would be the same shilas. I think it's the same
About-
shilas. Shana Milsa. What do you say?
All right, you can ask that question when we take away the tent. What do you do in the yard?
We're not talking about our tent, okay? I gave you an option. I called you before this year, right? You didn't call
Tenth
me
is an
back.
exception to the rule.
I didn't call you back.
Okay.
Tents don't have
There are
tents are
exceptions to the
except-
rule.
Correct.
It's not a
Correct.
surah of a shul.
Oh, very good. Oh, now you sound like you could be a rabbi.
I didn't
Well,
know
I
Rabbi
daven in a
Klein
house
was on.
meeting.
I didn't know
I
Rabbi
daven
Klein
in a
was on
house
our daf.
meeting every Shabbos.
There you go. Anyways, so the Gemara is assuming that is asmana. So the Gemara says, "Vami ba'ile the Ravina." This is a question according to Ravina, meaning Ravina was questioned whether this is true. As minuda besa kisei mau. If they just how do you say hasmana no zimun? If he prepared and not prepared, if he designated as a basic kisei mau, is minuda besa merchatz mau. What about a shower? Mahu zimun mayo or ain't zimun? Now shower is different because a shower you're just not allowed to verbalize. But if it's just a shower room, then you're really allowed to think and learn it. If there's no bathroom there, you're really allowed to think
You
and
could do the
learn it.
daf. You could listen to the daf in the shower.
Oh,
Just a
so I'll
shower?
get to that question. I want to discuss that similar question to that. Well, let's just finish the Gemara first. Right? If you just
Well, first,
prepared-
so Yaakov, you should
That-
make it that nobody can be on the daf without their picture. They can't be blank screens with their name on it.
otherwise, because they
Do
might be
that
in the
first.
shower.
Do that first.
Because they might be in the shower. That's what you.
That's right. That's right. You don't know where all this chevra is that you haven't seen in.
They might be in
19
pajamas.
months. You have no idea.
Aaron, we try not to get personal. You don't have to mention me. You could,
Parrots, you didn't say bathroom. It said shower.
Peretz's name is not on.
Yeah, or unmute it so you could hear the water. Okay, either way, says it's mouth. Zimun mile, I ain't zimun mile. So my answer is Ravina chada migoy chada kami boile. Like we saw this this lashon yesterday too. Ravina was asking one question within the other question. Zimun mile, I ain't zimun mile. Does that? What did you say again? Designate. I was going to say dedicate because I'm on the tzedaka mode. Does designating work or not? Imtim tzalomer yesh simon. And if you say that there is such a thing as designation, yesh yad or ein yad, does it have to be the exact terminology or not? So then another interesting thing, tibayle. So Gemara, what is tibayle? So it's a question, right? So if you look at the Bach and Toisus, so the Bach says that's teku. Bach actually quotes Toisus. You can look at one or the other. All right. Bach Aleph says that's teku. And look, but the Toisus is more geschmack. The first wide line in the Toisus. Toisus is not where it normally is, on the bottom. All right. Tibayilach, in the left column of the small words in the bottom. Pirish kamay teku, v'lashan nedarim mishna. The Gemara and the terminology in he doesn't mean mishna that it's like weird, like the way we touch it. Mishna, it's different. It's the terminology used in nedarim is different than the rest of Shas. This is essentially a teku, right? So as we know, the din is going to be with tekus. If it's a what do you call it? If it's deraisa, we're going to be machmer. If it's a derabbanan, there's more room to be mekel. So and by the way, this is in Shulchan Aruch and Aruch Chaim Siman Pei Gimel, where the Shulchan Aruch paskins that you'd be machmer. Yeah, but he said so. The way the Shulchan Aruch basically says is that you in the second room you cannot read from the Torah or anything, or you can't make brachas. But if you did, b'diavad you're going to be yotz, right? Because we want to be machmer lechatchila because it's teku. But if not, then you're going to be mekel. Now, the common question, I get this question probably once a week, maybe more. Can I listen to Jewish music in the shower? Psukim, with psukim, without psukim. Can I listen in the shower? Parrots, you saying yes?
New age or old school?
Most of it is garbage.
New music. The new what?
The new age is worse than
Most of it is garbage anyway.
That's what Moshe Feinberg I'm saying over here. Yes, it's all the.
But isn't it usually
Tehillim?
it's usually words of Tehillim.
As they say, can you take it out of the bath?
Right. Right. So that's the question.
And what about
So-
Sephardi music where they use Shemus?
But our bathrooms, are they really considered basically safe?
Oh, so that's another issue. Is our bathroom even considered a bathroom? That's another issue to discuss, right? Is our bathroom even considered a bathroom?
But when you use it, it's considered the bathroom.
No, but let's say you're brushing your teeth and you're listening to a shir.
What about when
You know, obviously when you're using the bathroom, it's a bathroom, that's for sure. Question when you're not using the bathroom. If I'd be chayshed anybody on the stuff that they did laundry, maybe if there's a laundry in the bathroom or something like that. A lot of times the laundry in the bathroom.
What's laundry?
Yeah, I was kind of afraid of that, but so listen, I don't remember the last time I did a laundry, so but that's also part of the shiloh. So Rabbi Badi, you
I see Jesse jumped off because we don't know what he does in the pool.
I forgot that Jesse sits in the pool. Yeah, so Lamaisa Rabbi Badi Yosef matters it. What was the situation where he matters it? I don't remember, but Rabbi Badi Yosef has a heter that you could in the shower.
Isn't he matzah it even when you're using the bathroom?
No, he matters even when using the bathroom. No, yeah,
That's what I thought. I don't know.
that I don't remember. What?
I thought we spoke about this once.
Could be we did. Probably in brachas.
It's like the Persian bathrooms. The Persians had this. Remember, they were complimented at this like slide where the feces would go down quickly. So he makes the analogy.
Of what?
We can't hear you.
Rabbi Yosef,
Yeah.
I believe, said it's similar to there was a Persian bathrooms that were complimented. at
Right,
one
the
point.
Persian bathroom. Right.
Yeah. He said,
Yeah,
"Our
so he
toilets are
compares
the
the-
same."
Yeah, that's a lot of places can say. No, but he's saying that in a shower room, you're allowed to play Jewish music. Now, again, a shower room we're talking about a shower room, we mean just showers, not with a toilet. So then the question becomes, when you're in the shower and you close the curtain, is it a separate room? So then really meaning our bathrooms, most of the time the showers together, most people have it, the showers together with the toilet. If the shower's in a separate room, you certainly could think of learning in there. Certainly, but that's the way most would say. And then you could listen to music too, if that's the case. But they're talking about singing Jewish music in the shower. What about a tape recorder? Like David was saying, a tape. That's not really like saying you can't answer a main to Hashems. You can't answer a main to a bracha on a tape. So is that really anything?
I mean, especially according to the place we hold that it's not even kailisha on a recording.
Well, certainly,
He's
right.
saying listening to a share via Zoom doesn't count.
No, if it's that's live. You're talking about YouTube or Blue? It's a difference, Parrot. Zoom and YouTube's two different things. Yeah. Anyways, okay, those are the shadows. Fine. Weiter. Back into Nedarim. Minuda ani
If it's live, it's live. It doesn't matter if it's.
No, if
That's
it's
the whole thing.
no, if it's right. If it's live, it's the same thing unless there's a delay. right? Which I don't think there is.
We have that whole thing with
Right.
COVID. If we have mini and Zoom,
Yeah, the Zoom minyanim and the answering Amen and the Megillah on Zoom and all that. Yeah.
We said Kedusha in the Chaim Berlin coat room on Coney Island Avenue when they were davening when they first captured the Harabayas, the soldiers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What was that? 60. What was that?
67.
67, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's
What
a
was
good.
that? You were listening to Kedusha on Zoom and
Oh,
67?
not Zoom.
There wasn't Zoom in
There's a
67.
thing. There used to be a thing called the radio. It existed, but there was a thing called radio.
I didn't hear you say radio. I thought you
RADIO.
were continuing the Zoom conversation.
Well, that shows you what you know.
Old school. Anyway,
Because Gershon knows of a ham radio, so it's usser.
very good. I don't think anybody here knows what you're talking about, Kurtz. Okay, we're not going to pull everybody what a ham radio is. Fine. Minuda nilach weiter. So if a guy says, I'm minuda to you, right? So we said, Rabbi Yehuda had said, he's not sure what to do with that, and therefore you have to be machmer, and therefore it would be usher. So I'm going to buy Rabbi Akiva, lenient malkus. Did I say Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Akiva. Right, so I'm going to buy a Rabbi Akiva, lenient malkus shein eloka. Rabbi Akiva's maida that you don't get malkus, because even though Rabbi Akiva wasn't sure whether that's a lashon of neder or not, but he's masupik. So if he's masupik and the guy does it and he's over on it on the neder, he's not going to get malkus. How do you know that? Rabbi Akiva machmer. Why would you say a lashon of was a chaychech? Chaychech, which means he's trying to or he doesn't see a way out of being machmer, right? Why don't you just say machmer? So he didn't say machmer, so he was not sure, so therefore you're not going to get malkus. Fine. So Amar Papa. But nadinya minach, if somebody says, I am nadinya from you, I think that comes from the word nida. Right? Nida, I mean, it's a little different than minuda, right? This one is nadinya minach. The kuli amalei pligi d'aser. Everybody holds that it would be aser. That's a legitimate neder. Mishamsana minach, I am in Cherem from you. Shamta is a lashon of how do you call it? Cherem, yeah. So l'kuli alma shari. That's the using a terminology of Cherem for neder. Everybody holds as mutter. But my pligi, what's the Machlokes on from base now? But minuda anilach, where he says, I am minuda to you. Rabbi Akiva saw a lishna niduyu. That's a lashon of nidui, and therefore you have to be machmer. And it's a neder. Rabbanan Sari lishna the misham sana, who it's a lashon of Cherem, and it's not considered a neder. Upliga to Rav Chisda, and he disagrees with Rav Chisda. The hu gavra, the Amar Mishamsana v'nachse the breder of Yirmiyah bar Abba. There was this a guy, a man who said, I am going into Cherem from the belongings of the son of Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. That was his lashon. Mishamsana b'nichse. So also come to Rav Chisda Amrle, less the chashla lahad Rav Akiva. Nobody's chash Rav Akiva's chumrah, and it's not a neder. Again, Rav Akiva was the one that said that the lashon of nidui is a chumrah, is a neder. Kasavar. So what does that mean? I mean, he's saying by saying by Shamsa, there's a Machlokes, right? Meaning if the way the Gemara just said it now, Shamsa, nobody holds that's a Cherem. That nobody holds. I'm sorry, that's a lashon Cherem. Nobody holds that's a lashon of that's a not. Everybody holds that is not a neder. Right? But here he said a lashon of Mishamsana, and Rav Chisda answered, we don't pass like Rav Akiva. What do you mean don't pass like Rav Akiva? We said everybody holds that Shamsa, it doesn't apply. Right? That is not a neder. So it must be Kasavar, B'Mishamsana Pligi. So if Rav Chisda is saying, no, we don't pass like Rav Akiva, that means he holds Rav Akiva does hold by Shamsa that it's a neder. Right? Okay, then we get into some, once we're discussing Cherem, so we get into some Cherem Gemara. So Amar Rabbi Ila Amar Rav, Nido b'fanov, if they put a guy into Cherem in front of him, Meaning a lot of times what happens with Cherem is that the guy doesn't show up in Bezdin, so Bezdin puts out a Cherem, but the guy's not there to get it. He has to get notified of it, right? So here they made him in Cherem in front of him. So then they want to get him out of the Cherem. So we're not matir it only in front of him, right? Now what's a pshat in this? So the pashup pshat is that, I mean, why does it have to be in front of him? Who cares? Right? He's only gaining, but they put a guy in Cherem. Then they decide, okay, you know what? Tomorrow the guy's a good guy. Let's take him out of Cherem. Oh, we can't take him out of Cherem because he's not here. Why not? Who cares? To be matir. So the pashat, the pshat is because it's a very chomerdika thing to put him in Cherem in front of him. So therefore, you can't just say, okay, we're releasing the Cherem. You have to call him back, right? But others say pshat that the Ran, if you look in the Ran, is because of chashad. Because if all of a sudden he sees that again, you put a guy in Cherem, then the next day in shul, the guy doesn't show up, obviously he's not allowed to, and we decide to be matir the Cherem. Right now, when the guy's in Cherem, nobody's allowed to say hello to him or anything. Right? So what do? But they took away the Cherem. So everybody starts schmoozing with him. He thinks nobody cares about the Cherem.
The first thing you wouldn't tell him is they took it away?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't tell him. Maybe I don't know. So that's the Ran. That's what the Ran's concern is. Either way, the din is if you put somebody in Cherem in front of him, the only way to take back the Cherem is in front of him. Nidu shalai b'fanav, matinu like bein b'fanav, bein shalai b'fanav. If you put him into Cherem in front of him, then you allow it whether he's in front or not. Amar Rav Chanan, Amar Rav.
What was the second thing you said?
Who?
You put it in front of him?
If you put him in Cherem not in front of him, then you can do either way. Amar Rav Chanan, Amar Rav, Hashemeya haskaras Hashem v'pi chaver. Let's say somebody hears his name, his friend saying, like the Hashem Shemayim levatol. He's saying Hashem's name for no reason. Tzarich l'nedusa, you need to put him into Cherem. Vim loy nedu, and if you don't put him into Cherem, hu atzma yebenide, then the guy listening also goes into Cherem. That's how strong it is. Why? Shekom mokum shehaskaras Hashem metzuya. Any place that you find that mentioning Hashem's name is being found when it's in vain, Sham Anius Mitsuya, you're gonna find poor people, Anius Kamisa, and Anius is like dead. Shenema, Kimesu Kol Anoshim, all the men died. Tanya, and wherever the chacham put their eyes onto somebody, when they're not happy with him, either the guy's gonna die or he's gonna become poor. So if you're anybody just using Hashem's name, you have to put him into Cherem, and if you don't put him into Cherem, you're going to become into Cherem too. Now, I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to do if you're not somebody that has the ability to put somebody into Cherem, right? And it sounds like this: anybody can put anybody into Cherem. I don't know what exactly that counts for, right? I imagine we get a lot of Cherems out there. So yeah, I think it must mean that he just has to arrange the Cherem or something, or rat him out. Fine.
Didn't we have a Gemara about that? Two Amayroim, one put the other one into Cherem, and someone said to the other one, put the first one into Cherem. He said he couldn't because he's greater than me.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, sounds familiar. Like that. Yeah, sounds familiar. Yeah, we're gonna have something like that on the bottom of the Amud, but not exactly. Okay, so I was standing in front of Rav Huna, and I heard a woman say Hashem's name levatala. So Shamta, so we put her into Cherem, and then right away we matir her Cherem. Right, so you put her into Cherem because that's what you have to do, and then he matir the Cherem. Okay, so Shema Mino Talas. We learn out from here 3 different dinim. Shema Mino Shemei Haskaras Hashem Epi Chaver Tzarich L'Nedur. If you hear Haskaras Hashem from your friend, you have to put him in Cherem. V'Shema Mino Nido B'Fanav Ein Matinu Loi Ela B'Fanav. If you put him into Cherem in front of him, then you only matir it in front of him, which is a little difficult to understand why that is. She happened to have been standing there. They put her into Cherem, and then a minute later took back Cherem. Maybe they would have taken back to Cherem even if she wasn't standing there anymore. Right? So what that proof is not so clear.
Because he would have waited 5 minutes until she left. He turned it into a joke.
He didn't have to. He didn't have
to
do it.
He turned the whole nidui into a joke.
No, okay, but we're not saying that you have to. We're saying Shema Mino that you have to take it back.
Yeah,
right?
He didn't have to. He would have waited.
Say it in front.
If he didn't have to be matter in front, he would have waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
As soon as she steps out, then he'd be matter.
Okay, but it doesn't mean that he wouldn't do that. He just didn't do that here.
No, he couldn't have done it. Because if he could have done it, he would have had
No,
to.
saying that he could. She was there.
No, he's saying the fact
That's why
he's making the whole thing a joke. If he's allowed to do it not in front of her, he would have let her leave, waited 10 minutes, and then do it. That way it's not turned into a joke, the whole meeting. That's
You
what
think that's
Gershon-
enough
that's
to
what
make?
Gershon
You're
is.
saying that's enough that it wouldn't make it into a joke?
Yeah,
Okay.
once so it gets to her 3 hours later. So there
Right.
was some kind of neither, yeah.
Oh, okay. I hear. Okay, and then the third shmamina ain't bein nidui lafara v'loy klum. That there's no difference between a nidui and hafara. Havara is when when the husband's being made for a neder. Right? Why? Because hafara we know has to be done right away. When a wife makes a neder, the husband has to be made for it right away. So here we're saying we have a day. So but here there was no day. Just quickly he just mattered it. Fine. Amar Rav Gidol Amar Rav Talmud chacham minada la'atzma yumay for la'atzma. Talmud chacham who put himself in Cherem, and he can also get himself out of Cherem. Pshita.
Why is that pshita?
I have no idea why that's pshita.
Yeah,
Either
right.
way. Which one is Pasha?
What? No, because the pshita is pshat that if you could put somebody else in Cherem and take away that Cherem, so why can you do it to yourself? Meaning, the point is why would you have to go to another road? No, meaning
you can't have your passport.
meaning no. If I put you in Cherem, right, I don't have to go to somebody else to get you out of the Cherem. I can take you out of the Cherem.
Okay.
So if you already hold it, the guy to put himself, then he should be able to get himself out too. I mean, the chiddush is in the first part that he can put himself into Cherem. But once you have the first part, then the second part should go along with it, right? So it says pshita. No, the same ain't chavush mater atzmei beis asur. I don't understand this one either. You would have thought that chavush means somebody's in jail, cannot get himself out of jail, right? So therefore, once a guy is in Cherem, he can't get himself out of Cherem. I mean, I don't know what's the comparison to jail. Can you put? I guess you could put yourself in jail, right? You can throw away the key.
Right.
That's the way the Ran explains it. If he's this manada atzmai and mater atzmai is only if he's not chayiv in neder. But if he's chayiv in neder, then he can't be mater himself because of ein chavush mater atzmai v'esasura.
Yeah, but
So
that's
what's the
like
difference?
a dvara. That's not. It's not a din.
What ein chavush mater atzmai?
Yeah,
But that's why. That's the halacha.
I understand, but
he can't be
What?
mater in nidui. He can't be mater in nidui that's based on isr. If the nidui is a real nidui, he can't be mater himself because ein chavush mater atzmai v'esasura. That's the svara.
correct. But it's not. But it's just a svara. It's not a din.
True, but it's negay halacha if it's a nidui le'isr. Only if it's a nidui for stam, he decided to take on himself, then he's allowed to. So the Gemara is saying, what's the difference? If the svara is a good svara, then why not? Even when he's stam doing it, once he's put himself in Cherem, he can't get out.
Okay, I hear. That's okay. I'm all right. I'm better any shot that I have, so we're gonna. I'll go with it. Right? So, Kamash Malon, the chiddush is that he could take himself out of Cherem. Okay, hey Chidami, what's the case? Ki Adam Arzutra Chasido Ki Mechaya Bar Beirav Shamta. When there was a bar beirav, means one of the talmidim was chayav nidui mishamsin nafshe bereisha. First, he made himself into Cherem, meaning Mar Zutra made himself into Cherem. V'hodar mishamas be bar beirav. Then he put the talmud into Cherem. V'chi ayol lebeisei shari lenafshe v'hodar shari le. And then when he got home, he matered himself, and then he went and matered the talmud. Right, so that's exactly how it works. I don't know exactly why the Gemara needed an explanation of what this is. That seems to be pretty pashut. Right now, why did he do it? Why did he do it this way? Because he matered neder, he matered his Cherem so that he would be able to talk to his family. Right, when a guy goes into Cherem, he can't talk to his right the way the Ran says it. You go if you're in Cherem, you come home. You go, I'm sorry, we can't talk to you. right? So he mated himself before he got home. Yeah, and that's what the Ran says. From here, from this Gemara, you learn out that when somebody's in Cherem, he doesn't get a hefker to talk to his family. He's out from talking to his family too. Fine. But then if you look on the next Daf, the Ran brings him the Ravid that the wife could talk to him. Parrots, no bonus there. Not putting you in Cherem. Right? Because the wife is like a gufay.
We learned that from Mitzayra?
What?
We learned that from Mitzayra?
No, he's learning.
There's no apok over here. Whatever the word apok, no apok over here.
No apok. There's no apok. Correct. Right? No, he brings the Gemara Ma'id Cotton that minuda ma'al Shamta. Right? Right? If the wife, meaning, what's the question? How can you ask a question? Is Tasha Shamita mutter if the guy's in Cherem, if you're not even allowed to talk? Right?
Wasn't that,
So
that was
that's
the
what he's
same
saying.
sugya in Mitzayra, no? That was the same
could be.
sugya, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, could be. All right. We'll stop here. Fine. Oh, it took a little long tonight. Stop. Not as quick as yeah.
Sorry
Anyway.
about that.
No. It wasn't. There was a lot. It was interesting. Halacha l'maaseh. At least I thought it was interesting. Either way.
Yeah.
Have yourselves a fine night.
What?
No, I did not.
What?
I don't do arts. Believe me, especially not
I think-
Shani. Yeah.
It's Yaakov.
This is
I think you see.
no.
Yeah. What are you saying?
I think you see this svara in chavush matir anyone from the bottom line also. He first had to be free in order to free the bar beirav. Because if he's not free, even though his was what's it called? Even though his nidui was a whatever miplei yukra, mishum yikra, he still couldn't free someone else.
What do you mean?
Badafka did it that way around. He was first shari l'nafshei, v'hadar shari l'bar beirav.
Right.
Why did he not do it the other way around? Why does it make a point of saying it was Dafka in that direction? What's it called? That order?
Right. So what's a pshat?
Because ein chavush matir. It's not just atzmai. If he's trapped in a nidui, he can't be matir anyone. He
Right.
can only be matir himself because his nidui is mishum yikra or yikara, whatever, whichever way this is pronounced. But Lamaisa, he's in jail. He can't free someone.
Right.
It's not a prison or revolt.
I hear you. Okay, but it's not. I thought I had a pshat today that I saw, but I don't know.
It was a little while. Yes, it was.
Yeah. Anyways. All right.
All righty.
Jackal, I realized that for some reason I got a new phone and it says iPhone. For momentarily, I was offended that you wouldn't think that I knew what a ham radio was.
A ham radio. I don't know who you are. I don't really see.
I know. I realized. I switched it. I don't know why it says iPhone. I don't know why it doesn't say my name now. But.
Yeah. You know what a ham? Well, Henachsat is.
Yeah.
He doesn't use ham radios anymore. But, what?
He
You
doesn't
know what a
use
ham
it.
radio is?
Oh, it's still being recorded. Parents, can you shut the record?
What's the difference? What are you going to say? Controversial.
You have to wind it for power.
No, it's a ham radio. It's like a. I don't know how you describe it.
CB?
It's like a CB, but it's more than that. It's a special. It's a special channel.
It operates on a frequency, on a special frequency that you can only use if you have a license, a ham radio, whatever ham radio operator
License, and you speak to anybody all around the whole world.
Yeah, it's controlled by the FCC, so you get radio waves. You have to whatever. You can only broadcast within certain. Yeah, it's a whole thing. You can only talk certain ways. You have to whatever.
So remember, like the CB days; those were great.
Yeah.
Find out where the cops were from the trucks before Waze.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
I get to
Good night. Bye-bye.
not.